So we all meet by like the check-in at Skankfest, and he comes down holding a tissue to his nose, and we're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, I cut my nose while I was shaving, and it won't stop bleeding."
That is not the story you say, dude. This is at Skankfest?
At Skankfest.
You tell the believable story. I accidentally got into a fight. My bad.
That would have been better.
That would have been a better story.
Yeah, I would have accepted that lie.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to the whore boys and the girl bros, the cock rockets and the cunt pockets. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. Hey, welcome to the show. This week on the pod, I have got on fellow podcaster Shannon Lee. And before we hear from Shannon, we're going to be hearing from Norma Buster about revenge porn. But first, you ever call someone daddy by accident and you're just like, how'd you make me do that? That takes some talent. I keep getting behind on making OnlyFans content because my phone storage always seems to be full. And no, I don't want to go into the cloud. I don't know if I trust that shit. Okay, I'm allowed to have a few irrational things. I got the vaccine, but I don't believe in the cloud yet. Let me have that. I think that's okay and healthy. And so I have been running out of room on my phone, and today I sat down in between editing and just like went through the phone to delete all these fucking pictures and videos and just shit I don't need. Screenshots I thought were going to just be direly needed in my life that never were needed. They never came up. I've never gone to look back at those. So I just need to clear a lot of that shit out. Not to mention they're just like an insane amount of, pictures and videos and I don't want to say content. So I shall say media of like me with various exes, from Paige to Megan and all sorts of folks in between. A lot of titty pictures. Back when I was openly accepting nudes from listeners, I would just kind of save them on my phone from the email. And so I just kind of said like a last farewell to many tits that might be listening out there. And, a few pairs of balls too. So I had to scroll all the way back to when I first got a smartphone in 2012. And I'm not even done right now. Like as I'm recording this, around like 10 p.m., I'm in like the winter of 2019, before that happened. And I've already deleted over 5,100 items. And it's wild to go forward in that way because like I'm going through relationships that have ended, some that ended really fucking badly, and kind of have to like relive those fucking relationships. The good, the new, the exciting, the first fight, the second breakup, the final big event, the drama that goes on afterwards. I'm seeing the sex that we had. I'm seeing the cute shit we got each other. I'm freeing up so much space on my phone and in my like soul right now. It's not like I'm deleting everything from my past, but I'm definitely getting rid of like a lot of excess. It was tough to say goodbye to some of the nudes, I will say. So long, tatas. It was very nice occasionally seeing you by mistake while scrolling on my phone. Except for those 2 times I used them with the coconut oil. Tata, TTs, bobos. For a guy who started a podcasting career with that was all about delving into my past. Gosh, am I excited to finally be moving forward. I finally feel like I've got forward propulsion in my life. This is so fucking strange. By the way, we've still got spots open in the Fan Whore Fantasy Football League. I think we've got 4 or 5 slots open. We'll do a 10 or 12 team league depending on the turnout. We do a $30 half-point PPR league. If you're interested, shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com, and you can connect with the very few fellow fan whores who enjoy both slutty stuff and fantasy football. Also, ManWhoreCon, oh boy, coming up August 12th to August 15th. Right now, there's coordination in the Champagne Room, our Discord server. There's some coordination about the edibles that may or may not be present, and we still have one room left. I don't know who wants to snag this, but we got one room left. It's got 2 queen size beds and is $813 for the entire weekend. No, not per person. I mean, everybody for all 3 nights, 4 days. So if you want to join us in upstate New York, August 12th to 15th, you do have to be vaccinated. And you can, again, email me that at manwhorepod@gmail.com. Norma Buster is the client relations manager at C.A. Goldberg Law Firm here in New York City. We recorded a bonus episode that's coming out tomorrow exclusively on Patreon. And we're talking about revenge porn. We're talking about digital sexual violence. And we're talking about Norma's story with a stalking ex-boyfriend and how she was able to get some revenge porn taken off of Pornhub. So that'll be out tomorrow for all my $5 and up fan whores on Patreon. But right now, I'm inviting Norma on to talk to us a bit about what to do should you find yourself the victim of revenge porn. Here's me and Norma Buster. All right, I'm back here with Norma Buster from the C.A. Goldberg Law Firm. We don't know what PLLC stands for. We decided. So, but she works with Gary Goldberg, one of the premier lawyers working around revenge porn and tech-facilitated abuse. We just recorded a great bonus episode coming out exclusively on Patreon tomorrow, where we talked about revenge porn and your story of experiencing that with your ex and the work y'all do at your firm. And I thought it would be beneficial to listeners to get like a practical kind of step-by-step guide of like, I am now the victim of revenge porn. What do I do?
Okay, so the first thing that you should know is that this isn't your fault, because I think a lot of us put blame on ourselves, and society tends to put blame on the victim of this kind of crime for even sending pictures. So you should know this isn't your fault. Take screenshots of everything. Document everything. If someone is even threatening to do anything with your intimate images, document everything. If they are contacting you after you ask them not to, screenshot that. Just try to save as much evidence as you possibly can. Depending on where you have your images posted, you could try to get them removed. So a lot of websites now have forms on their site for like non-consensually posted images.
Any images or just nude images?
Usually sexual images, yeah.
Okay.
Usually it's nude. It can be harder to get other stuff down. But I mean, if you own...
Like what?
Like text. Like just getting like...
intimate text?
Yeah, like text down. Or like if someone says something about you online, like it's really hard to get like something that someone says about you offline.
Sure. That definitely feels like it's a different process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different process. It's harder. It's but that could be its own conversation.
Sure.
But you want to try to report it to get it removed, but make sure you're taking screenshots of the image on the website as well as the actual URL. And I would recommend like saving everything to a folder. Maybe save the file name by the date and the website, something like that. Find some way to organize. Find a person or people in your life who can be there with you through that process. Yeah. So whether it's a family member or a friend or just a trusted adult or someone in your life, you just want to make sure you're not going through this alone, because it can be a very isolating thing to go through.
Who did you have in your life through your process?
I had my friends and I had my parents who were there with me and helped me to find support. But honestly, the first person who told me that it wasn't my fault was Carrie.
That's wonderful.
So that was like a moment that kind of turned everything around for me, because suddenly like I realized I'm not in trouble. Like I'm not trying to get myself out of trouble. Like I'm just literally the victim of a crime.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to me. So no matter who it is, like, find someone who thinks that way, who will be there and be understanding and judgment free. And if you don't have a good support system, I think you can look online. There are a lot more resources than there were 5 years ago. There are a lot of survivors online who are willing and ready to talk to other survivors and to help them figure out what they need to do next. You should look up the laws in your state surrounding revenge porn or non-consensual porn, as well as the laws in the offender state if they live in a different state from you.
And what kind of laws are there? Like, what do these laws kind of look like? I know each state might write them a little differently, but what are some of the semi-universal principles of the various revenge porn laws?
Usually it's something around the non-consensual dissemination of intimate images. That's like the kind of phrase that you'll usually see, or some variation of that. Some states have a clause about intent to harm, so you have to prove malicious intent of the poster, right, which can make things more difficult.
Can you just because I thought this was a hopeful moment, can you just briefly describe your experience of getting it taken, your revenge porn taken off of Pornhub, some of which you mentioned was shot of you underage? Yeah,
absolutely. So I immediately went searching for a phone number or something because I just didn't know where to go. I found some random phone number for Pornhub. I think it was for the premium side. I don't even know, but they were like, go on this form on Pornhub's website and get it removed. And so you just say who you are, you give the link to the profile or wherever it is, and say, these were posted without my consent. I was underage in one of the pictures. And within 27 minutes, it was down.
Fabulous. I feel like there's a lot. I mean, I feel it, and that was 5-6 years ago, right? So it's that's not even now after they've been getting all that bad press and they're actually tightening shit up. It's that I thought was a little hopeful nugget where it's I feel like some people think they're going to go to a platform, they're going to get lost in the swell of customer support tickets. But you actually got help, at least with Pornhub. You got some immediate, let's get this down.
Yeah.
And that's good to know that there are platforms that will take your report seriously.
Right. And I can only speak for myself and for cases that I've seen. Not everyone has that same great experience with Pornhub. But I mean, it's a lot better than what we see on Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat,
So we covered get it taken down, document, have support system. What else should someone do in this process?
So as far as remedies for what to do in this situation, some people will make a criminal complaint. That could be one route to go, where you're trying to hold the offender criminally accountable so that they face some charges or something. That's one route. There's also getting a family court order of protection. That's a good option for a lot of people too, and it's something that our firm often helps people do.
What does that get you?
So basically, if you get a family court order of protection, it's an order to this person that they cannot contact you. And the specific terms could be different depending on what you put in your petition and what the attorneys agree on and kind of how it all goes down. But for example, my restraining order against my ex-boyfriend says that he can't ever contact me or my family or any third party to get to me. And he also had to delete any images he had of me.
Any negotiations about gym use?
Yeah, my gym is not...
Did you get to claim Tuesday afternoons?
I got to claim the whole gym.
Stop it, seriously?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
In the bonus episode, we talked about how he when there was still some uncertainty, he was kind of hanging around the gym and people had to walk her to the car. And I was joking.
No.
I'm glad that was actually put in there.
Literally in the restraining order, he cannot go to that gym. He cannot go to my work.
You gotta go to some shade gym Retro Fitness or something. You figure it out.
I mean, now I don't even live in Jersey, but he's banned from there for
Good.
But that could help because if the person does contact you or does violate that restraining order in any way, including posting your pictures, if you report that could be a criminal violation. So they could face criminal charges for violating a family court restraining order.
Can you bring civil suit? is there a way to seek damages?
Sometimes, but a lot of the times what we see is that the offenders are like judgment proof. So if they don't have money to sue for, then there's nothing you
It's
can
a loser
get.
in mom's basement. It's like, what are you going to take?
Yeah. And a lot of times these offenders like don't have a lot to lose when they're doing something like posting someone's intimate images. So it could be an option depending. There's so many more factors that get into like whether it makes sense to sue someone that it's not always the best option.
Being the onboarding person, do you get calls from people who like are clearly in pain, but you tell them like legally you're kind of shit out of luck right now?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. My role is to meet with people one-on-one for an hour and go through the details of their situation and how it's impacting their life and what they're looking for. And sometimes, like, I have to be realistic with people after that meeting, after I discuss with Carrie and the legal team, and we talk about, like, can we help them at all? Like, sometimes it really is just telling them, like, the limitations of the legal system. You know, even though we believe you and it's very clear what you've suffered here, doesn't mean it's necessarily, like, a criminally viable case. So that is part of my job, and it's honestly, like, probably the hardest part of my job is to do that, because we're fighting for people and using the legal system to get them justice, but we also have to be realistic. Like, what are the limitations here as far as like the criminal justice system, but also like the way we can't force tech companies to actually do something about these problems because of the laws that we have in place. So like we can't force like Twitter to take down intimate images of you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Norma, thank you for sharing some of those steps. So is there any other tips you would give to anyone who discovers that they're the victim of revenge porn that they should know that we haven't covered yet?
Let's see. I think we've covered a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just remind them, like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because I can't emphasize enough how isolating something like this can be. And the amount of people I've spoken with who say to me by the end, like, wow, you're the first person I ever told this story to. Yeah. Like, it really hits me. And like every time I share it with people too, like what I've been through, if I feel like it'll help them. And like, I always like visibly see this like sigh of relief, like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. There are resources now. Yeah. So they might be hard to find, but they're out there.
Well, speaking of which, Norma, like, where could people go to find you, to find the law firm you work at, to find resources?
Our website is cagoldberglaw.com. That's BERG. CA Goldberg Law across all platforms. And my Twitter is Norma Buster and Instagram Norma Buster _.
Well, Norma, thanks again for chatting with us. And $5 and up fan whores, you're going to hear her bonus episode tomorrow on Patreon. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody one last time?
Okay. Thanks, Billy. Bye, everybody.
Again, Norma Buster's bonus episode will be out exclusively on Patreon tomorrow at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And over on Patreon, you will find over 200 bonus episodes of the Man Whore Podcast. You'll hear me with past guests like Nina Hartley, Andrea Allen, and my 7th grade crush. Ooh, that one's a doozy, huh? And I want to actually read a really sweet message I got over on Patreon this past week. It comes from Tom, and Tom writes, "Hey, Billy, I noticed in your recent pictures we have the same thinning hair pattern. Mine thinned when I was 20, and I've always been insecure about it to the point where I never take my hat off. This actually made me smile as you're such an attractive guy. Hearing how confident you are on your podcast and learning more about body and sex positivity from you over the past few months is becoming a game changer for me. My confidence around sex and dating was poor in my 20s, but having just entered my 30s, I'm finally and steadily realizing my bi identity, exploring kink, and learning I can feel sexy and that it's liberating. As my pal who passed away last year would say, fuck on. Oh, Tom, well, thank you for such kind words. We can leave out the thinning hair part. That's still touchy. I'm glad you're so comfortable in it now, but everything else was awesome. Thank you for that. And I'm glad you are joining us in the Peep Show. The Peep Show is our super fun Telegram group chat where we just share like nudes, gifts, and compliments all day, every day. It's available to all of my $10 and up members on Patreon. And real quick, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Haley Dundas, one of my Patreon members, part of Fan Whore Nation. Thank you for your service. You're a real lifesaver. And I want to say thank you to Clara Stern. Thank you for the hot tip. Much appreciated your support with your doll hairs. And again, if you want to support this podcast, if you think what I'm doing some good work, if you're having laughs, if you're learning new things, if you're finding out something new about yourself, and you want to show your appreciation, you can become a member today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. You actually have to go to the URL. You can't search it in the app until you become a member. Content moderation is weird, right? Shannon Lee is a fellow podcaster. She hosts The Thing Is podcast, and she's a producer over at Gas Digital Network, which is a network full of a bunch of comedy podcasts. Tracy Carnazzo kept telling me I have to talk to Shannon. I got to talk to Shannon because Shannon hasn't had sex in years. And then I forgot that like Tracy Carnazzo is just like, fascinated by fellow people who don't get to have sex for many years at a time. But I get to Gas Digital to record the episode with Shannon, and she's just so laissez-faire about the whole thing. I was like, oh, everyone is freaking out on your behalf about this. You're fine with it. So we chatted a bit more just about like her relationship histories and why it's been so many years since she's had some. Not that there's anything wrong with not just so it's always shocking to me. So here's my conversation with the sexless Shannon Lee. Longtime fan whores know that I am a huge fan of the Motor Bunny. Oof. Fellas, not for nothing, get like a nice, like reasonably sized butt attachment for the Motor Bunny, and you can have some fun with it too. It actually turns your dick into a vibrator. Yeah, if you grab a hold of it while it's in you, holy shit, you're like, this is. One time I had an ex who straddled me while it was in me, and then she was like, babe, your dick is vibrating in me. What other sex toy turns your penis into a vibrator? I do not know. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The Motor Bunny is not like a cheap sex toy. The Motor Bunny isn't even like one of those fancy $200 sex toys. Motor Bunny's got a bit of a price tag on it, but for one thing, you can get $40 off when you go directly to my URL, manwhorepod.com/motorbunny. And over there, you can actually finance this thing. Yeah, like your iPhone, your laptop, maybe your TV, your car. You can finance your fuck toys now. How cool is that? There's a lot of things I don't like about this country at the moment, but the fact that you can finance a vibrator. Oh, say, can you see by the stars? Yeah, I'm into it. You can finance the Motor Bunny for as little as $84 a month. So that plus the $40 off with promo code MANWHORE, the Motor Bunny has never been more affordable. It's never been more within your reach. And they even now got a new toy, the Motor Bunny Buck. So it's like all the awesome things about the Motor Bunny, and then they added a thrusting element to it. So it's even more so a fuck machine. And once again, you can finance this baby, plus get $40 off, manwhorepod.com/motorbunny. Now let's get to the show.
I'm never like, I don't know. I'm on both sides of everything. So it's like there are some times where I'm like, is this ever going to happen again? Like, let's get it going. And other times that I forget it's a thing, which I've said so much. It's like, if it wasn't for the fact that I work with so many guys that are constantly talking about fucking, I would probably forget that people do it.
I mean, do you not feel like the urge and desire, or just has it kind of been diminished for so long?
So Here's the thing. I feel like, and I guess I won't speak for all women, so I'll just speak for myself, where it's like and this is no dig against the guys that I work with, but I'm not around anybody I'm attracted to. So I'm not thinking about having sex with anybody. And so that's why like the thought isn't happening. Like if I had like a crush on somebody and the thought would cross my mind, then it would start like the engines going, but it doesn't happen. So yeah, it's just not a thing on my mind, really.
And I should say right now, I'm here with Shannon Lee, one of the producers here at Gas Digital Network. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, every time I talk, Tracy Carnazzo, every time is just like, do you know that Shannon Lee hasn't had sex in a gazillion years? Yes. I think also compared with the headshot, you just go like, how? What's the problem here?
There's plenty of problems.
So your the hook seems to be the you have not had sex in how many years?
It's been 3 years and 4 months.
Really counting?
Yes. Well, because it comes up so often, so I have to be ready to answer the question. But yeah, it's been 3 years and 4 months.
Was there a long gap before that too?
Yes. Let me think for a second. There was not immediately before. So before that, it had been 2 years. And this was something that was resolved via a dating show on the SDR show, which is another show on the network, where they just did like a silly thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down for whatever. And they had like a bunch of guys submit for this thing. And then one of the guys who didn't end up winning, he came here from North Carolina. Like he drove here for this contest. And then afterwards I was like, I should probably talk to him. You know, he seemed like a sweet Southern boy. And then, yeah, we ended up like continuing to talk for the next like month. And then he ended up coming back here. And then it ended up working out very briefly, but it did. And so, but before
what
that,
does briefly mean? Like 90 seconds, and then he was like,
no, I can't say anything bad. Like he was an angel of a person, especially when it comes to dealing with me. And like, I am a nightmare, and he was an angel. But before him, it was 2 years, and then so it was him, and then I went back to like an ex for a little bit, and then the 3 years happened.
Mm-hmm. And why such long gaps? Is it just because you're like, I don't really care? Do you not care about sex that much?
It's not like for example, like the women that are like, I just want to get married and I don't care who I plug into that position, you know, or it's like, I want like this end result and I don't care who helps me get there. It's like, I would like to have sex one day, but it's not going to be with just whoever. Like it has to be like the stars have to align in the right way, because I have to like feel, and it doesn't have to be someone who I'm going to get married to or be in a relationship with even, just somebody that I like feel comfortable with and connected to. And that just hasn't happened.
Does the comfort and connection serve its like own purpose for you, or do you associate like comfort and connection with pleasure?
Both. Because like for me at least, like sex it's not enjoyable with a stranger. You know, that's just and it's nothing against people that do. Maybe people do get pleasure out of that, but for me, it's not a thing. So it's like that's why it would have to be like a buildup of like getting to know somebody or whatever before getting to that point.
Sure. I mean, and have you ever when it started taking so long in between, were you having an issue with it, or have you always been this laissez-faire?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think maybe like at the beginning where it started to get to like 8 months or so where I'm like, this isn't going to happen again. and at this point, there are times though where I'm like, am I going to, now that so much time has passed, am I going to get to that point with like a new person? Is that even going to happen? But I'm more concerned about that relationship, like connecting with a person, like that's an issue to me. The physical part isn't that big of a deal.
Sure. I mean, what was your history when you were younger with that? Also, you're ambiguously aged. I feel like you could be 29 or you I was like, you could be a great 42 or you could be 29. I have no idea.
I'm 39.
You're 39?
Yeah, I'm 100. When I was in my I don't do any, I work now. Like that's my life basically. But in my 20s, I mean, I've been a bartender since I was 20. And so like my life was the nightlife. So there was like a lot of drinking and stuff. So, but I've never had a one night stand with anybody. It was just like us all going out and partying and being around each other. It would happen more often. I mean, but anything is more often. But yeah. And then I had like, you know, a series of boyfriends. So this was never a thing before.
Well, those earlier like bartending time, was that good sex back then? Like, do you have memories of good sex?
Yeah, I do. Mainly with boyfriends though, because like that you'll settle into a good place eventually. But guys I'm dating though, it was never really too casual of a thing. There was guys that I dated.
And then by the time you're like working and hustling and grinding, it sounds like it's just something easy to put on the back burner. I feel like there's a lot of people like they can get so into work that the whole relationship, sex, whatever, that can come whenever it comes. But then like, who's helping Shannon come? You know what I mean? It's like
it's just that I'm neglecting my personal life by focusing on work a lot. And that's like, my relationship with friends and whatever is part of it. But the other part is like not meeting new people. I mean, the only new people that I meet are people in the industry, which is like, it doesn't count.
It's not the most it's also not the most desirable industry, a bunch of comedians.
Yeah, and it's not, because then it's like who has a podcast and who's going to talk about what, and then who's talking about what's happening. Like that's not, I don't want to be like in there like that. So, but I don't meet people outside of this industry really, which is my fault because it's not like I'm going out, but also all of my friends are married with kids. So they're not really introducing me to people. And then I tried dating sites, but like I am a weird type of picky.
Oh.
I try and I'll have them on my phone for a couple of months and then delete it because I get annoyed. But like first I'm pretty superficial. And then once I get past that, within the first couple of sentences of conversation, if they say one thing that's stupid or annoying, I'm out immediately. So I never have even gotten to the point, at least not in the past several years, to like meet the person in real life because I get annoyed before we even get there.
Do you think you're just like subconsciously just trying to find reasons to not even have to bother?
No. And I also, even though I say I'm a nightmare, I
did have written down here for later, why are you a nightmare? Which I feel like we'll get to later.
Yeah, there's so many reasons. So many reasons. But when I will share like the text conversations like on my show or like with a friend, and I'll be like, am I crazy? Like, did I react in the wrong way? And they're like, no, that was really stupid. And you should have responded that way. So it's not my fault. I just happen to be a magnet for like what I'm not looking for, which just has to be my fault in some way.
Or maybe your geography of Staten Island. I'm not sure. Just going to toss it out there, throw it into the wind.
I mean, that's definitely part of it. But I mean, where is there? I mean, yeah, Staten Island has a reputation, but where are there good ones?
Well, then this goes into like what is a good one for you. So I guess let's start with the superficiality. It sounds like physically, like what are we even looking for? If we were going to have that little baby crush that makes you even interested to be like, oh, I'll talk to this person, and if he doesn't annoy me, I might sit on his face. Like what's like that initial little, what do you look for? What do you dig?
So like ideal.
How many abs does one need?
So the abs aren't the important part.
Okay.
I don't need
a lot of people just like breathe the sigh of their relief.
That's not. But I like a big guy. So it's like, 6 foot and above. I mean, I could do 5'10", but like 6 foot and above ideally, but like
the face she made at 5'10", like it was the biggest consolation.
I get a lot of shit amongst like the 5'8" comedians where they don't like when I say this, but
those are all just guys who wish they were 5'9".
And I understand that, but there have been guys that I've been interested in the past that fall below that line, but ideally, and that also is me. That also is a problem with myself, and I understand that this is like an insecurity where if I'm not with somebody much bigger than me, then I feel like I'm bigger. So that's why I need like the biggest guy. And tattoos don't hurt. Like, I like someone who's scary looking on the outside, but who isn't like that scary. With me, at least.
Like the bouncer everyone could hug.
All of my ex-boyfriends are bouncers. Every single one.
Everyone's a bouncer with like a sleeve of tattoos.
Yep. Yes.
Tans, gyms.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And then once we get past like he's bigger than you, is there any other like look stuff you go for?
I think that's like the most important thing is like first it's height. And then like, and again, they don't have to have tattoos, but it's like, I don't want to be the more tattooed one. And I'm moderately tattooed. And then everything else, like I'm fine. Like I don't mind a bald guy. I'm not really a long hair kind of person, but it's fine, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, everything else, I don't care.
Sure. And so when you see someone who you're attracted to and they've got that height requirement and seems like they're kind of a cuddly bear, but they could like start a bar fight if it was needed to defend someone's honor, right? That kind of a guy, someone who respects his mother,
right?
You know, that kind. Okay,
yes.
yeah. Staten Island values, respect for the mom seems to be important.
I would like to deter from this line of of questioning because I am not from Staten Island. I just currently live there.
Okay.
I am from Brooklyn. Which is a very different thing.
What was your like upbringing around like sex and dating?
I mean, it's not something that like we talked about. Like that's not. Yeah, it wasn't like an open subject in the house. But I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember anything like glaringly obvious about it. I mean, like my sister. I have like one sister, and like we just went in completely different paths in life. Where she's my baby sister. She's 6 years younger than me, and she's married with 3 kids. With her high school sweetheart. So she had like one and done and she was good. And I'm just like, never. It's just never going to happen. But that's good because then I have nieces and a nephew. So I don't need the kids.
Did they have like strict rules about boys or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, not really. When I was like 15 or 16 and started to like talking to boys, it was just like you can't go into a car with a guy unless we meet him. And then I ended up, of course, doing that because I'm a teenager. And I remember one day, it was a guy that he was much older than me, maybe like 5 years or so. But that I think goes into a dangerous category of now in today's standards. And he had like a nice car. I think it was like of course, it's a Camaro with like the racing stripes on it, and it was a whole big deal. And so like we started dating, but I didn't tell my parents, and I don't even know why. I don't know why I wouldn't have told them, but I wasn't allowed to be in the car with him. And then we would hang out, and he would drop me off up the block from my house so that my dad wouldn't see if he was looking out the window. And then one day we're sitting in front of the house, like on the block, like sitting in the car making out and saying goodbye, and then I see my parents' car like pull out of the parking spot and drive away, and I'm like, oh my God, he just saw the whole thing. I remember being like a young child, so I don't know what age that would be, like 8 or 10 or something, and my mom sitting me down to explain to me the whole process, and I remember drawings being involved in the explanation, but it was a very like clinical explanation of like, this is how babies are born, and then that was it. I don't remember any, and I should have been warned because like my taste in men is not, the best. And, like I feel like I should have been warned more than like, don't just worry about the car. Like there are worse things out there.
You didn't need just like a sex ed. You needed like a primer on men, like in the shitstorm you were going to walk into.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like don't let them do this. Make sure that they do this. Like with my nieces, I'm like, this is what you have to tell it. Like, don't let a boy do this, and make sure he does this, and it's okay that he spends money.
What are some of the tips you're giving your niece? How your niece is like how old?
My niece is 12.
Yeah, but you're never too young to get them.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta,
armed and ready.
Yeah, because like just get like because now you got to start thinking about boys at that age at like 12. So it's just like don't ever think that you're asking too much. Because I feel like it's just so much in the opposite direction, especially like the type of girl, which I feel like is most, that they're just dying for the attention of the guy and will allow anything to get that attention. And it's not okay.
Where even though it wasn't being talked about, did you have questions? Were you just like, or was it just not on your mind?
About sex?
About sex, dating in general.
That was all like friends stuff. That was all like through my friends. All of my friends like had sex before me and had boyfriends, and like I was the gross one of the group growing up. I was like chubby, braces, like all crazy hair. And my best friend was like the prettiest girl in the school. And it's like she obviously chose me as her friend because I would never be competition in any way. And that like showed its face several times in our friendship because like there would be like a guy that I had a crush on, and then he would talk to me. And of course, the reason he's talking to me is because he wanted to be hooked up with my best friend. But in
high school, I was also the safe friend. Be like, can you talk to her at lunch? You're not going to do anything I'm worried about.
Yeah. I think this was like late junior high school to early high school was when like I was still in like a weird place. But yeah, I think all of my learning came from just hearing friends' stories of like what they were doing and then kind of went from there.
Yeah. Do you remember getting any like wild tips and you look back now like, why the fuck was that? No, we don't stack donuts around the dick and eat around it. That's ew.
I don't think so. I think that's more boys, maybe, share that amongst each other. Yeah, I don't remember anything crazy from the girls.
So if someone's got the physical attributes you're into, you've got that little crush and you're like, I'm curious. You get to the point you're chatting with somebody, you're talking, there's flirting going. What starts getting you there when we get into the personality part?
Oh, boy, it's been such a long time. But here's like one part of the beginning issue is I interact with so many different people regularly, and I'm fine with it. If I am interested in somebody, that goes right out the window, and I am not a normal person anymore. I can't have a conversation. I get like nervous and like sweaty, and I can't. So it's like if I have a little bit of a crush and I'm not sure how the guy feels, it's never going to happen because I am the worst.
Well, I can't imagine you shy. Even if I've never like heard you speak, I would be like, how is that person ever shy?
It's really, really bad. Like there was one person, it's a while ago, where there was like a little bit of like interest expressed, and then we ended up on the phone. And it's so stupid. I'm trying to think of what it even was that he said. Something to the effect of like, "Oh, I'll talk to you soon then, sweetie," or "gorgeous," or something. And I just giggled. I couldn't say anything back. It's so bad. I'm like a very like awkward, weird person in that situation. It's really bad, which makes it all worse.
I mean, do you feel like it's not actually like? Do you feel like the people and your friends around you make it to be more of a problem than it is, as opposed to just like a statement of fact about your life?
I think guys make it more of a problem than it is. Like my guy friends do, because they can't fathom going that long without it. I think
It's funny because there's some of them who probably do go that long without it, and they're still like, I don't understand. Anyone could. Someone hold me.
It's possible. Girls are just like, it's also like they're understanding, and they're just like, I get it, you know, just whatever. They're more like, are you dating anyone? Like, are you trying? Are you putting yourself out there? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, they focus on like the core issue, which I understand that to be a core issue. But I am back in therapy now, so I'm worried. She has her hands full with me, but I'm working on it.
We're fans of therapy. I think something I'm not solo poly or anything like that myself, but something I like to lift from them is the idea that like our most important relationship is with ourselves, and like how we're gonna have a dope relationship with other people if like we still hate ourselves. So, you know, that's always good to do.
Yeah.
Hopefully the therapist says like, spend a little less time at work. Go out there.
You're
Go to a bar. Go something.
It's a lot to ask. But the self-hatred thing is something that has been rearing its... I've become more aware of it recently, and how bad it is, and how it affects like my decision-making and like my day-to-day life. So that's something that is, but my problem with getting out of that, with like doing the work to get out of the self-hatred, is like, and this is what my therapist is working on with me now, is that what if those bad thoughts that I have about myself are true? You know, what if I'm like, I say all these bad things and they're true? So now am I supposed to lie to myself about those things? Like, I don't know how to.
No, now
get
it's
out
the
of
hard
that.
part of change, of growth and change, right? It's like, oh, like, how can you love Shannon more? Just a little bit. I don't want to ask too much of you.
Yeah. I don't know the answer of how to love myself more. I don't know yet how to get there.
Yeah, but like, what do you hate?
Everything.
Come on now.
I hate everything.
I bet I can list like at least a half dozen things you would say, no, I'm good at, you know, like you take pride in your job. From just what I notice online, you've been here for so long, you seem dope at it. I don't think Ralph would keep you around if you weren't, and not fucking anybody, right? He's like, well, then where's the value? No, so it's just like, I would imagine that you have pride in the work you do.
Yeah,
right?
I would say I'm a loyal person.
There's two. We just did two, and that was like 12 seconds.
Yeah. You said the first one.
Yeah, but like you didn't argue.
It's fine. But yeah, I think the loyalty is like, that's one of the deep-rooted Guinea things, I think, loyalty. Yeah.
It's a gift and a curse as
Yeah.
one of those Guinea things, because then you go like you're loyal, and it's a very strong quality, but then if you're loyal to the wrong people or in the wrong situation where it's like, bro, you are fucked up here.
Yeah.
That can also get us in trouble, as well as keep us in shitty relationships.
Yep.
I can't leave. I've got to be loyal to my man, to my partner, whatever.
Yep. That's true. Except it's not loyalty. I don't think that keeps me that has kept me in the past in bad relationships. It's that because, this is just my guess, is that because I so rarely connect, like, and I say intimately, I don't mean physically, I just mean like deeply connect with people so rarely that I'm able to open myself up to that point. Like my group of friends is from like 20 years, you know, not new people. And so it's that once I do love somebody, I feel like I love them forever. You know, so it's like my family members, there's nothing you can do. Like I can get mad, but like we're never going to separate that. Like I love you and that's it. And that's how it is like with my, like I've had like 4 significant relationships where I loved them and I'll always love them.
Yeah.
And so like while in the relationship, I'm like, well, I still love him, so I'm not going anywhere. And that's what makes it last too long, is that the feeling doesn't go away, so I don't leave.
Then how do you end up getting out of those?
It gets so
Back
bad.
then? I mean, so like what's so bad look like?
So one of them is probably the worst one is it was the worst, all of the worst things that can happen. So, and it's funny because again, how sick the mind is, that there was like, physical like violence that happened a few times. And while I left briefly, by briefly I mean like a week or two, and then went back, but it was when I found out he was cheating on me, that's where I drew the actual line. And
because that's hitting the loyalty factor. You're cheating on the loyalty factor,
so it's
but
like if
being
you're
shitty to
hitting-
you,
yeah,
you're
if-
like, well, I already hate me. This makes sense.
if you're hitting me, at least you're hitting me.
Yeah.
So that's something. But yeah, I couldn't get.
You find out he's hitting someone else, you're like, what? You mean there's someone else?
Yeah, that was a big thing. So that's what ended up breaking.
And are
up
those
our
from those
relationship.
like early 20s, the bartending era?
Yeah, actually, this before that, because we started dating when I was 20 for about 3 years. He was like 12 years my senior, and he was the reason why I went to bartending school. He's like, "Oh, did you ever think about being a bartender?" I'm like, "No, I'm too like shy to do that. I don't want to be like behind the bar in the center of attention." And so he's like, "I'm going to pay for you to go to bartending school. Just try it, see if you like it." And thankfully, like I've relied on that for the past like 20 years of my life afterwards. But yeah, no, I met him actually like right after I got my boobs done, which changed changes everything. And
Just gonna write boobs change everything? Question mark.
Change everything.
Sorry, it's been a while since I thought that way.
But yeah, so it was like right after, like my dating path kind of changed a little bit after that. And then, so I met him through like my family business. It's a whole long thing.
Sure.
But yeah, so he was like the first boyfriend I had since like my high school sweetheart, which I guess was only 2 years before that. But he was the first bad boy that I dated. And,
First of it sounds like several.
he was the worst one. Like the other ones, while they have their, streaks, they weren't bad to me in that way, at least. Like no one, like I learned my lesson from that. That didn't start like a whole path in my life of getting beaten by like every boyfriend ever. And I wasn't beaten. But yeah, that was the first and last time that like I dealt with that. And since then it's like, if I saw a red flag of that, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing that again. Especially the guys I date are so big and I'm not a large person. So it can go bad really quickly.
It's like you could hold your own with someone like your size.
Yeah.
Like you look tough and like I wouldn't want to fight you. You seem scrappy. But what are some of those red flags you were looking out for then? I gotta imagine, even if not as actively, that they still are there for now. Should you ever date again?
Don't worry, it won't happen. But it just, I guess, like how they handle their temper, how they are with their family members, like if they're quick to cut people off, very quickly, and aren't like valuing relationships, processing arguments in the right way. Like if they just like flare up, cut people off, or are quick to fight for like what I don't consider at least a good reason, then it's just too much. I mean, I like a guy that can keep me safe, but not someone who's going to be a headache, where it's like I dated a guy that we would go into a bar and he's like, "What's that guy looking at?" And I'm like, "No, we're not doing this."
We don't need to get thrown out because someone stepped on your shoe.
Yeah. And it would be that. Where it's like if someone was like disrespectful to me and it like if not even just that, like it would have to be a lot. And then if like hands happened, then I can understand it. But yeah, I've had some headaches. There was one guy, that was like, "Oh, this guy's looking at me." I got called, he was a bouncer, and I got called at like 4 a.m. from another bouncer. And they were like, "So-and-so is handcuffed to the hospital bed right now. So we'll let you know when they release him, and then you can come and pick him up." And I'm like, "Great." And his face was all stapled afterwards. It was just and he was a huge guy. And yeah, I don't know how we got into this part of the conversation.
No,
Red flags was the thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people. One, you're like trying to teach them to a niece. You're trying to, give her some red flags to look out for, because dude doesn't have to be 20s, 30s to be like that. That's people can be abusive in high school relationships and college relationships too. So you're looking out for like your little niece there, but there are definitely people who don't know what to look out for, who maybe also aren't dating very much. I know somebody who's getting out of a 12-year relationship that they started in college, haven't dated. And it's like, well, what do we look out for? You know, like when you say, you know, someone's temper, well, like what do you look out for in that? What can someone, you know, check out?
I guess like if the reaction matches the situation, where it's like, you know, if someone spills something accidentally and very accidentally and it gets on you, if you're flipping tables over that, like this is a problem, you know, like that their anger management isn't right. And if it's not right in that moment and they can flip off the handle so quickly that way, then what's to stop when we're in the heat of a fight from you putting your hands on me?
How someone fights is such a huge indicator. If anything, if I date someone new, I'm like, I can't wait for us to have a first fight because I want to see what that's gonna be.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
Or or even to see them angry in general. Like that's so important to like see that. But yeah, I mean that's the most important thing. I mean I would have more if I dated more often, but that's like the main one that's coming to my mind. It's just how they handle their anger over like little things.
Yeah. So why are you a nightmare?
So many things. Well, like I'm realizing more. Like I had another ex-boyfriend from like 10 years ago, but we would try again in a way every few years or like a few months, and the same things would go wrong, and then we would hate each other and split up, and then we would forget that anything bad ever happened, cross each other's paths again, try again, and just this cycle over and over and over again. And whenever we would try again, he would always tell me, I would be like, oh, let me guess, like you're going to stand me up when we hang out, or let me guess this and that. He's like, can you just, this isn't the best example of this, but I'll go somewhere with it. And he's like, can you just like see it for what it is? Like stop making me fail before I actually fail. And so the whole time though, I'm like, yeah, but I have to use the information from the past. It's not like this is somebody else that did this to me and I'm taking it out on you. You did this to me. So it would be really stupid.
Why ever would you think I would do that thing? Well, do you remember in March?
Yeah. So it would be really dumb if I didn't learn from the past, you know, but in looking deeper into it, I did realize that I do tend to maybe set people up for failure by expecting the worst, but I'm kind of okay with expecting the worst, because if you're not, that's when you get sideswiped by some crazy shit. It's like with that boyfriend that was cheating on me, I would see on his, like, because we lived together for a while, and I would see on his computer that he was on a dating site. And this is like 100 years ago, so dating sites weren't really that much of a thing. And I saw that he was on a dating site, and in my mind, this is like not yet jaded Shannon, I was like, oh, he probably, because he was a little chubby back then, now he's jacked, but he was like, you know, maybe he just needed the attention, the validation, even though he's dating like a 20-year-old fresh new boobs me. But he, yeah, I was like, oh, he probably just needs validation from someone else. And then as time passed, and then I noticed this was the time of like Nextels, you know, that beep beep thing.
Yeah.
And there would be times where he'd be like, hey, babe, I'm downstairs. And I'm like, you're at my house? And he's like, oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'll call you right back. And I know, and I was like, oh, that's weird, but not weird enough to like really focus in on it. And then as time went on, and then there was like a nickname that would come up on
yeah, what do you do there? Did you go downstairs? Wait,
No, he wasn't there. No, he wasn't there. He wasn't at my house.
And then what's the fallout from that? That's like a real glaring.
I don't remember. But he is like a, you know, this type of guy is like very manipulative. I was a child, so like I don't know anything. I was 20. You know, this is like my second boyfriend and my first garbage boyfriend. So you know, it was definitely a learning experience. And this is probably what a lot of other people pay for now. But it's like because I let that go and I believed whatever excuse that he said at the time. And then all the little things that I would kind of notice, I would let them go. And I'd be like, oh, it's probably this. It's probably not this. And then he probably just needs validation from other girls, until one day I did a little spying. And then it all came together that the girl he was with right before me, he never actually stopped dating her and was fucking her the whole time. And one of the times that we were split up for 2 weeks and I wasn't at the house because he hit me, she was at the house. And yeah. And so I overlooked all of this stuff, and this broad was like in our apartment and I had no idea. So The reason why I go into all that is now because I was so stupid and I missed the signs and I expected, like, I gave someone the benefit of the doubt and I was hurt probably more than ever in my life. Whereas if I'm aware and understand what the possible negative outcomes are, I feel like I would prefer to protect myself than just open myself up and get hurt hundreds of times over and over again.
I wonder, like, how much of you is like doesn't trust your own judgment about men versus like has the high standards for the men themselves. Like, I wonder if you don't trust the men, if the men aren't shit, or if you're like, oh, maybe just my taste in men is bad, so I shouldn't even bother.
No, I don't trust men.
Mm-hmm.
I know plenty of
for
men.
good reason.
Yes.
By the way,
this isn't just my guessing. Yeah. Men usually suck, and they're gonna fail most of the time. So it's like, should I just push that out of my mind for the hopes that one time that they're not going to fail? That seems silly.
Would you say like every relationship, even if it was like brief, like the North Carolina boy, but like, would you say, well, he was a nice boy, sweet boy, we say, but outside of that, would you say like pretty much anyone you've had like any emotional interest in ended up showing themselves to be a shitbag?
I don't want to use the word shitbag.
You may replace it with whatever synonym you would like. Just the idea of like, is your dating history just so rifled with not great to terrible that like you're like, maybe that's just what en masse it is?
I don't know. I mean, so my high school boyfriend was like an angel. Like, that was a very different thing. He doesn't fit into any of these other things. He was just a different thing. So like, I'm going to not count him. The other three were all the handfuls. Yeah. So this one that I'm talking about, we'll call him one. So he was like the real problem. And then there was maybe 5 years that I would just casually date. Like, there were some guys I dated for a few months, but never like feelings. Mm-hmm. So I don't really count them. And then the next one was the one that was a problem in bars and everywhere. But the issue with him was we got into it was a complete, in all my relationships, like anything you find in a textbook, I will have hit a few of the new ones in the next relationship. So with this one, we fell into a crazy codependency between the two of us where we were always together. Like, he was always at my apartment. If we were somewhere and sitting next to each other and I wasn't making physical contact with him, he would think I was mad at him. It was
anxious attachment style. I know that one because that's me.
Do you know I have both?
Yeah?
Yeah, I do both. Where it's like, if someone is too much, I am like, get away from me. And if they're nothing, I then am like, I cling on to them. Like somebody new, if they text me, like if they double text, I'm out. It's
double text me in like one after the other. Mm-hmm. I like to use the multi-text as like beats.
No, but like if it's one conversation, but you can't be like, oh, so how was your day? And then 2 hours later say something else, because then it's dude, like, what are you doing? Like, give me time. Right.
It must be cool, like, though, that you have this whole, like, the team here at Gas Digital, even if for fun, they do very much like to try to quote unquote help for content. You know, they've done the dating episode. I remember there was the dick pic contest a few years back.
That's who the guy is from.
Oh yeah, the North Carolina guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So does that ever get old? Do you feel like that's just kind of that's Shannon's shtick at Gas? But it's all real, you know. But it's like stuff from my past. I don't care. Sure. It's whatever. It's all, we may as well laugh about all of the. Well, I meant all like the stunts. I didn't know if there were any other stunts that they've done or do. And trying to bring people in.
Yeah, the last Skankfest, which I keep wanting to say last year, whatever year it was, 2019, I guess it was. They did another dating show for me. And do you know about this one?
I did not check out that one, no.
So it was another dick-related thing, because of course it was. None of this is my idea, of course. And
you're just like, it'd be nice to connect with a human being enough that I would actually kind of want to fuck them. And they're like, let's show them their dick. Let's show you their dicks first. That's...
So, but I mean, it worked to an extent the first time. But still, I was like, okay, this would be fun for the viewers to watch. So why not? And so we had this is a live show at Skankfest. We put up a tarp, and then we had 3 or 4 contestants, and they had to put their penises through a hole. And we had like 3 or 4 different rounds where they had to do like a talent competition or a costume competition. Like
on the penis.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They had to either dress it up. They had to do something like.
Yep.
What were some of the talents that they would do?
So I'm trying to think of the things that stand out to me. It's just like this particular day, I was so tired because I'm also working at Skankfest, and I had just finished my first time like on stage roast battling Mike Harrington, which I don't like to be on stage, so that like took a lot out of me. So I was like tired and like not really into it. So my memory is a little faded on this, but I remember because like people joke a lot about how I like to date guys from prison, which is only partially true. And
only partially.
It's only partially true. Go ahead, write it down. And so one of the guys like dressed up his penis like an inmate, where it had like, you know, the black stripes, you know, like the typical like cartoon inmate ones. I think two of them did some sort of inmate thing, and then one person did like some weird thing with his balls, where he like moved them. It was a weird thing.
Feng Hua balls,
not with his hands. Just like on their own.
On their own?
Yeah. Yeah. You
can we do that? I know I can bounce the shaft like if I flex the PC mode. He just moved his balls?
That's what I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
I don't think you should have sex with that person.
Well, I
don't even know who it was.
Don't worry.
That is not the one.
From my like very fuzzy memory of this, I believe that they all ended up trying to do this thing after the first person did it. And they were all able to do it in like varying degrees of each other. But the episode's on the website. I don't know how, you'd have to go back far, but yeah. But anyway, I mean, this one didn't work out. The guy that won, he's fine from Florida, because apparently no one from New York can ever win this. And the funny part is, so we ended up having to go on a date with each other because like he won. And then Ralph said, you know, I'm obviously not going to make you go by yourself with a stranger. So Ralph was going to come with us with some chick that he was dating. So it was going to be the four of us. And then my co-host, Maddie, was around and he's like, oh, I'm going to also come. So him and his chick were going to come as well. And then Chris from Brooklyn from High Society Radio also joined because Ralph's chick canceled. So Chris was going to be Ralph's date. Yeah. So now it's all of us. So now this poor guy who is like a fan of the network and like, you know, is like, you know, a fan of all of these people that he has to now go on a first date with somebody, with all of them. Yeah. So we all meet by like the check-in at Skankfest, and he comes down holding a tissue to his nose, and we're like, what? I don't know what happened. And he's like, oh, I cut my nose while I was shaving and it won't stop bleeding.
That is not the story you say, dude. This is at Skankfest?
At Skankfest.
You tell the believable story. I accidentally got into a fight, my bad. Might have been more impressive.
That would have been better.
That would have been a better story.
I would have accepted that lie. Yeah. So we now all go to this like French restaurant a couple blocks away. And so like we all sit down and he's still holding the tissue at his nose during the whole time. So he's also, and understandably so, like it's got to be hard to like start conversations and stuff when you're embarrassed because you're bleeding. But I tried my best to talk to him, but all of my friends are here.
And he's a fan of the friends,
yes,
and he's put in this difficult situation. Like there's this hot babe here who kind of has to talk to me for at least an hour. Or there are all these people like I just fucking love every week, and I give them my money on the Patreon, the Guest Digital, and the blah blah blah. It's like, where do I?
No,
who do I
but
look at?
he didn't.
Did he control himself in that regard?
No, but like he went in the opposite direction where he didn't initiate any conversation with anybody. Right. And I could be wrong. Maybe my recollection of this isn't right. But Ralph would like look at me like, talk to him. And it's like, for me, I am already shut down because I am the girl here. You're the guy. You're supposed to talk to me.
Oh.
But I mean, I'm from Bensonhurst. Like I believe in old school traditional values, as you can tell by this podcast about my sex life. But yeah. So anyway, so after
he can't because he's like surrounded by strong personalities. He probably doesn't even think anything he says is going to be remotely impressive against them. Would you have been impressed if he was even trying, making attempts in front of these guys?
Yes, because here the way that it was set up was like there's a booth right here. He's sitting on this outside of the booth that I'm sitting here. And then we're sitting at this booth, the two of us together. Yeah. And then to my left is Ralph and everybody else. So it's him and I right here. Yeah. It would have been very easy for us to just have a conversation with everybody else not involved.
Like, hey, Shannon, fuck these guys over here. You know, tell me about your favorite soap or whatever.
Literally anything. But now I am having to scramble to think of things to say.
You even getting paid on that night? Like, are you? It sounds like you're like both on the clock and not. And I bet you wish you were.
No, I get like a flat fee for my stuff I do at Skankfest, so it's just all part of the same thing. A free meal, I guess. But 15 minutes into it, he gets up and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'll be right back," and he leaves the place. And he ended up going to CVS across the street to buy super glue, and then went into the bathroom and glued his cut. But told us this, and then came back to the table with his glued.
He really seems to insist on sharing all the worst parts.
Because I don't want to know anything.
Yeah, you could say nothing. You could lie. Like, you really have every opportunity to get away with these embarrassing decisions you're making, dude.
Yeah. And so after, so we get through this whole thing. It's already whatever. I've given up. I'm just talking to them now. I'm not being rude, but it's like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And so we all go back. And then later on that day, because now I went back to my position at Skankfest. And so he comes by later on and brought me flowers, which was very nice. He's probably they did a terrible job, which he did, but I also understand how it's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a killer personality and confidence to make it through what happened. But I mean,
anyone putting their balls through a glory hole in front of a paying audience, that's really a toss-up. That type of person.
Well, it doesn't equate is what we've learned. But that was it. And then afterwards, because he's from Florida, and then while at Skankfest, he was like, "Should I, do you want to meet up again or whatever?" I was like, let's DM a little bit first and just make sure it's worth it to do that. And we were just not for each other.
Just did not work there. Yeah. Have they done any other big eventy type stuff where they are just really taking your celibacy and abusing it for content?
Yes, they have actually. Are you leading me into this?
Yes, if you care to share.
Okay. So the most recent thing was on my birthday on the SDR show. Is this the one that you're talking about?
I actually don't even know. I know about
okay.
the dick pic thing from years ago, and then I think there was a dating show before that. I know Ralph hit me up for one of them. So when you said the North Carolina guy, I was biting my tongue to be like, "Wait, you're telling me that there was we actually would have I would have moved some things around my schedule. I was shown up because I think I had a thing. I told Ralph, I'm sorry. Trust me, I love sharing my dick pic with hot people, and yet I can't today."
No, that was the first one, that dick pic dating, because I had only been here for a year at that point. So that was really the breaking me into what happens here at Gas Digital was that one. But so on my birthday, which was last month, so I love The Rock. The Rock is my perfect ideal human being in the world. And so Ralph kept telling me, he's like, what I really wanted to do was to get an impersonator of The Rock to come in and whatever. And I was like, okay. I was like, I appreciate that. I was like, but honestly, who out there, because this isn't a regular impersonator. This person has to live, breathe, and sleep working out and stuff like that. For them to be making that so much of their life, they're going to do it, being a Rock impersonator. It doesn't make sense. But I was like, I appreciate it, cool, whatever. And Ralph sucks at surprises. He'll try to keep it for a day, and then he'll be like, okay, I just have to tell you this. He's really bad at not at doing the surprise, but keeping it a secret. We had Mike Vecchione on the show, who I work on his podcast, Mike Vecchione Investigates, and Maddie from my podcast. It was my two podcast husbands were here, Josh Adam Myers and Big J. And all of a sudden, Ralph was like, okay, guys, let's do that thing. And I'm like, oh, no. And then they bring in the mobile camera in there. So I'm like, what's going to happen to me? Something bad is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the door opens and there is this gigantic, bald, jacked man that comes into the room and takes off his clothes. And so he got me a stripper.
Oh, is this the one that you had posted in all the ads on Instagram?
Probably.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. That's thoughtful.
Yeah.
I guess.
But it's this is
they really love to use it as a shtick. Just they're like, oh, well, what show can we build around Shannon not fucking anybody?
It's just I don't know. I think he really thought I was going to enjoy this. But it was so uncomfortable. But when it happened, it felt like it was lasting for 15 minutes, the lap dance and everything. I was like, when is this? Is this the longest song ever? I don't remember. It's Little John or something was on. And watching it back to edit the episode, it was 3 minutes long. And I was like, this could not have been any longer. And then because I've been to bachelorette parties and I know what strippers do. And so he's like, stand up. And I was like, don't flip me. Please don't flip me. He's like, I have to.
I don't get paid if I don't flip you. I'm sorry.
That, yeah.
You're both just crying with you upside down, inverted, and Ralph's in the corner
Exactly. All the guys are
Don't
so
you love it?
excited.
Happy birthday, Shannon.
It was more like happy birthday for all the guys because they loved it.
Yeah.
And they loved how I was so uncomfortable. There was nothing sexual about it to me at all. I appreciate he's a good looking guy. He has a great body, but there is no connection that was made there that made it sexual to me. I was just like, please let this be over. I hate it.
I guess before we go, it's like, which do you dislike more? Putting yourself out there in the dating world, or all the gas digital shenanigans around your celibacy?
Oh, putting myself out there. I don't
Really?
mind.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're like, I'll still take it. Just please don't make me have to, match on Tinder. Please don't make me go on a first date.
Yeah, because it's like, to me, this is like, I forget the microphones are here,
Sure.
and it's like I've been here for so long now that it's just like my friends busting my chops.
Yeah.
It's like what it feels like here. I forget that it's a thing being put out for entertainment, but out there is real life.
Yeah.
And that is scary, and that sucks.
Well, I hope that the result of all the therapy is that you get out there and you meet someone hey, even if you're holding hands, it sounds like that's an upgrade.
It sure is.
I hope that for you, because it seems like I think you want it, and I think this is a very convenient, well-paid distraction, or mediocre. I don't know what you get paid. Knowing Ralph, I don't know. Maybe I should rethink that statement. But Shannon, thank you for chatting us. Where can people go to find more of you, or to see some of the shenanigans that these dudes put you through?
You can follow me on Instagram at Shannon Lee 6982. I post lots of clips there. GasDigitalNetwork.com is where all the shows are, and any show that I work on, you're going to hear me getting made fun of or made a fool of in some way, shape, or form. And then my podcast is The Thing Is, ding, we talk about bad dates, fighting, and ghosts. But yeah, it's just like a weird grouping of topics, and it's like, comedians or reality TV stars, porn stars, musicians. It's a whole bunch of everything on there, and we just have conversations about fun stuff.
Killer. Well, everyone go check that out. And Shannon, thanks for chatting with us. Why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everybody.
Thanks again to Shannon Lee for chatting with us. Also, thank you to Norma Buster. You'll see links to both of them in the show notes of this episode, as well as links to all of my social media and things you should know about me on the internets. I would love to know what you thought about this week's episode. You can share your comments, your criticisms, maybe even some questions in the champagne room over in our episode discussion channel. Want to send something my way more directly? Send any and all of that over to manwhorepod@gmail.com. That also goes for anyone who wants to claim that last ManWhoreCon room, or anyone who wants to get in on the Fan Whore Fantasy Football League. We'll be drafting in late August. OnlyFans. Now that I'm clearing up all that space on my phone, I can shoot some more content. Cocktent. Am I right? I should quit. You're right. That's fair. That's really fair choice. Last week, I finally recorded with AKA got a blowjob from my dear friend, porn star Sonia Harcourt. So if you're following my OnlyFans, get ready to check that out. I was a very happy boy. And I'm always posting some cute shit, some hot shit, and occasionally some sexily funny stuff at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Boy, I've got a busy couple weeks coming up, everybody. I go get an STI testing for my friend's birthday gangbang. That's coming up. I'm going to go over to the West Coast for that. Then I got to fly back here. I got ManWhoreCon in upstate New York. Hell yeah. And then I got these like cute special people in my life. I got people who make me call them daddy. And I got a lady leaving me really cute fucking notes in my wallet when I sleep in at her place. Yo, life is blessed, y'all. It's crazy. Stay slutty.